Welcome Trinidad and Tobago to our News 4 report, a product of the Government Information Services Limited. I am Gregory McBurney. Let's take a look at the headlines. The Prime Minister secures the requisite number of ratifications for entry into securing TNT as the host country for the Arms Trade Treaty Secretariat. The Minister of National Security stands firm with the law enforcement officers as he calls on the nation to embrace the agencies and the role they play in securing our nation. And Naparima Girls High School gets approval from the Energy Minister while delivering the feature address at the Presbyterian Secondary Schools Award ceremony. Thank you for joining us. Top of the news, Prime Minister Kamla Persad Bissessa was the forerunner in advocating for the ratification of the Arms Trade Treaty in the CARICOM region. Her efforts paid off when the treaty received the requisite number of ratifications for its entry into force.
A global and uniform set of rules to regulate the trade in conventional arms, including small arms and light weapons, will be operational by the end of the year. This, according to Prime Minister the Honourable Kamla Persad Bissessa SC, while at the 69th session of the United Nations General Assembly held in New York. On Thursday, the Arms Trade Treaty received the 50 ratifications needed for the entry into force. The Honourable Prime Minister noted that this was another milestone for the international community and a triumph for multilateral diplomacy as the preferred means to resolve the most serious problems confronting the international community.
The Arms Trade Treaty will take effect, as you said, on Christmas Day of this year. Thereafter, a committee will be set up for implementation. And the areas to be looked at, which we are very keen on, is the Secretariat. We have been lobbying for the Secretariat to be in Trinidad and Tobago. There are 3 candidates thus far, Trinidad and Tobago, Switzerland and Austria. Our lobby campaign has been that most of these headquarters for secretariats have tended to be in the north, and there must be some kind of geographic balancing of things. So we look forward to getting the support of many of the nations of the United Nations family for the Secretariat to be housed in Trinidad and Tobago.
The Prime Minister indicated that she was very pleased that among those states which ratified the treaty were the Bahamas and St. Lucia, which has now brought the total number of ratifications by CARICOM states to 8, with all 14 having signed the Arms Trade Treaty. She pledged to continue to advocate for total ratification by all CARICOM members and the full implementation of the provisions of the instrument.
Yes, this has been something from day one that I have been advocating, so I'm very happy now that it will actually come into effect with the required number of countries. We do not make arms, but the weapons of mass destruction are not the ones that are killing our people, and that's why I was very keen on this Arms Trade Treaty, that within it should be provided matters dealing with small arms. Before, you talk about the huge missiles and whatever, yes, but what is it killing us in Trinidad and Tobago and in the Caribbean? Small arms. And we had lobbied successfully, along with other countries, that this Arms Trade Treaty should include matters dealing with small arms. That was included, and we are very happy and look forward to implementation of this particular treaty.
The Honourable Prime Minister explained what ratifying the treaty means to Trinidad and Tobago.
The use of arms, the transference of arms, the shipment of arms, that there would be greater regulation and control, and therefore better monitoring with respect to the movement of arms and ammunition, which again is something we will be very happy for to help us in the fight against crime.
Nikolai Edwards, News 4.
The Minister of National Security is urging the nation to embrace the law enforcement agencies as they work tirelessly to defend and protect us all. He's quoted as saying these men and women are not any enemy, but instead Trinidad and Tobago's ultimate support and shield at all times.
The Minister of National Security, Senator the Honourable Gary Griffith, is pleading with citizens of Trinidad and Tobago to alter the negative connotations associated with the law enforcement agencies. These assumptions, echoing throughout our nation, are what the Honourable Minister calls an attack on our loyal and brave Defence Force and police officers. Confessing just as all countries have their limitations and room for improvement in terms of law enforcement, so too does Trinidad and Tobago. though it is understood that focusing on these negatives leave room for the creation of many perceptions that begin to constantly ridicule and undermine the hard work and dedication of these professionals. The minister continued to identify some of these baseless statements that have been circulating. These included the perception of soldiers being killing machines, reserves being called out as an indirect state of emergency, armored personal vehicles being used against law-abiding citizens, constant references of police officers being corrupt, and the perception of patrolling soldiers being an abuse of power and attacking innocent citizens. According to the Honourable Minister, focus needs to be put on the hard work which has played a large part to the last year having the lowest rate of serious crime in 30 years, and every major crime being reduced by 25 to 80% in the last 5 years. He noted that sadly, little has been said about the good of the Defence Force and Police Service. Trinidad and Tobago Defence Force and Trinidad and Tobago Police Service were identified by the Minister as critical elements which ensure the most fundamental rights of our citizens are provided, which is their right to live. He added that we as a country must never take the roles and functions of these public servants for granted by demonizing them at every turn. Instead, we should show our support for these agencies who are trained and readily prepared to put their lives on the line for this country. The minister concluded, adding that the Ministry of National Security is fighting a war against a present danger lurking and ultimately winning the battle against crime, nationwide chaos, and the threat of terrorism being infiltrated into our country. Shade Allen, News 4.
Staying with news of national security, the minister met with the Tobago House of Assembly Chief Secretary Orville London and Tourism Secretary Tracy Davidson Celestin on his visit to the island recently. Issues targeted were safety and security strategies for the island of Tobago. More in this report.
Among priority areas discussed during the meeting that lasted more than 2 hours, National Security Minister Gary Griffith and representatives from the Tobago House of Assembly dealt with air surveillance, canine detection methods at the seaport, higher police visibility and defense force support for Tobago. The minister said at a media briefing after that he was pleased with the improvements made so far, but that despite the statistics and good policing, a higher level of police visibility was still needed.
Is the perception and the fear of crime. So even though we might say that it is seen that Tobago seems to be on the right track to deal with reduction of crime, if the perception and fear of crime is still there, that obviously would be a factor. So apart from the good work being done by the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service and the other arms of the law enforcement agencies working hand in hand with the Tobago House of Assembly to ensure the safety and security for citizens and guests in Tobago.
Chief Secretary Orville London also reported that they were able to deal with a number of important matters at the meeting and is looking forward to following up on outstanding matters with the minister.
Of course, the issues like the police station at Roxborough and, of course, at Old Grange, these remain outstanding. Some progress has been made towards the construction of the fire services headquarters, and there are other areas which you will hear when the various officers and the minister report.
Another matter that rose to the top of the discussions was tourism and the need for additional special reserved police officers for tourism-related crime.
I must say that I am very pleased that work has in fact started with regards to work will start with regards to the training of SRPs who will form part or who will be a part of the tourism-oriented policing unit. There are some issues that are still on the table, the need for the CCTVs. I heard the minister mention the number of CC cameras that are in Tobago at this time, but we would have made a request for additional cameras because we feel that we need to have our beaches and our sites and attractions closely monitored. They are working on that request, they are working on that proposal, and we expect that within the next 2 weeks weeks, there will be a meeting with representatives from the Ministry of National Security with a view to identifying those beaches, those sites and attractions that we will target and working out the plan of action.
Minister Griffith has noted that the CCTV network in Tobago consists of 125 cameras using a safe city concept that is consistent with international best practices. He called it technically sound and noted that it was deployed as part of the first phase of the national CCTV network. The cameras are linked to a CCTV network unit in Trinidad that was commissioned in June this year. Minister Griffith said that because of this, the CCTV network in Tobago was of much greater value and standard than in Trinidad.
We intend to improve the CCTV system, and this will involve the input from the Tobago House of Assembly to guide to where it is they will be implemented, but also that from the use of computerized statistics through the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service to pinpoint the threat assessment and to ascertain exactly where the cameras should be and the type of cameras that need to be positioned to ensure that we can get that real-time information, we can monitor the situation, they can provide the deterrent, and it can be used as evidence if required. I wish to state it is a good sign that Tobago has been safer so far in 2014 than it was last year. There has been a 39% reduction in serious related crimes. There has been an improvement in the detection rate in Tobago from 20 to 25%. We have had more police officers assigned to Tobago in 2014, and there will be a further increase that will occur in the very near future with an additional 150 SRPs being assigned to Tobago.
Minister Griffith added that there were other security plans in train for Tobago that included 4 50-meter vessels for maritime security, as well as upgrades to the Coast Guard infrastructure in the north of the island.
And in future, there's a plan to develop a Coast Guard base in Charlottesville, and this is obviously to strengthen the maritime security. We are aware of the importance of securing our exclusive economic zone, and that is going over as much as 200 miles off the north and east coast of Tobago. And for us to secure that exclusive economic zone, it is important that we establish the type of base in Charlottesville to have the type of vessels that would be required. The importance for a safer Tobago means a safer Trinidad. If we can ensure that criminal elements do not see Tobago as an area where they can go ahead and ply their trade, we need to ensure, obviously, that we block off those areas to prevent any type of criminal activity or criminals actually moving into Tobago.
Reporting from Tobago, Natoya Johnson, News 4.
More news after this. Thanks for staying with us. The government is dedicated to helping persons live a healthy lifestyle. This is the message being reiterated by the Member of Parliament for Couva South, Rudrinath Indarsingh, at a recent health clinic held in his constituency. Almost 100 health and medical personnel from India were on hand to conduct free medical testing, give out free health and medical advice and free medication as the Forum of Indian Nationals hosted a health clinic in the Couva South constituency. The doctors, nurses, pharmacists, physiotherapists, lab technicians and support staff all lent their time and knowledge to the people of Couva South free of charge. According to Minister Indarsingh, the volunteering of time and resources by the Indian health professionals is a symbol of the strength of the diplomatic relationship between India and Trinidad and Tobago.
You must understand this in the context of the relationship which has existed between Trinidad and Tobago and the Republic of India since 1845. Today, because of that relationship, that diplomatic relationship that exists between both countries, this is an indication of that deepening of that relationship.
The Couva South MP says the clinic is also a symbol of the government's dedication to the people, which he says the Prime Minister has embraced.
The government of Trinidad and Tobago has been very concerned about the health of our citizens. The health of our citizens and the issues that are affecting the population of this country through non-communicable, what we would call non-communicable diseases, growing and impacting upon the well-being of our citizens. In fact, our very Prime Minister, our own Kamla Prasad Bisesa, has championed the issue of tackling non-communicable diseases at the United Nations.
He explains that the government believes a healthy nation is also a healthy financial economy. Statistics show the additional strain placed on the economy by the effects of non-communicable diseases has amounted to approximately $1 billion.
Our Minister of Health, the Honorable Dr. Fuad Khan, he has also been concerned about obesity, fighting the fat, the issues of diabetes, hypertension, strokes, kidney failure and so on. And all these things, when we have an unhealthy population, it impacts upon the amount of financial support that the Ministry of Finance and Economy has to give to the health sector.
He adds there are also benefits to the wider population from persons taking greater care of themselves.
When you can manage your diet, when you can exercise, when you can take advantage of the facilities, the walking track, the lighting of recreation grounds and so on, so that you can exercise and we can educate you to pay attention to your diabetes, we would have a healthier population, we would have less persons in the hospitals and at the health centers and so on. And when we reduce that sense of financial input into the health sector of the country, we can take it and build other facilities, proper more schools, we can address other social issues and impact upon the society in a more positive way.
Persons who partook in the clinic all expressed good sentiments. 69-year-old Molly A. Banks, who is diabetic and hypertensive, says the clinic is an excellent idea.
It's very good, and it's something that's good for the district of Milton. Yes, in the government, yes, I am getting good treatment from the clinic. Very good, yes.
Meanwhile, this gentleman says the clinic is of great benefit to pensioners and elderly persons like himself.
Well, this camp has been an excellent camp. Several tests were carried out this morning, going into the evening, and the people of this area are very, very pleased. I got a test this morning. Outside, I would have had to pay $800.
Minister Indar Singh believes the clinic has been a success as it has seen an overwhelming response. He says the Forum of Indian Nationals is examining plans to hold another clinic in the Calcutta Balmain area. In your sports news up next, we remember a fallen sports hero. Former Trinidad and Tobago World Boxing Champion, the late Giselle Salandy, was paid a moving tribute at the historic first Women's Boxing Convention, which opened at the Grand Princess Riviera Resort in Cancun, Mexico. More than 500 boxing officials from the World Boxing Council attended the opening ceremony, including boxing promoters Don King and Oscar de la Hoya, as well as the leaders of the three main world boxing organizations, the WBC, WBA, and IBF. Leading the tribute was world bantamweight contender Alicia Ashley of Jamaica, who spoke of Salandy's accomplishments, which she said is yet to be replicated by any female boxer. Also taking the podium to acknowledge and honor the memory of TNT's most successful professional boxer was her trainer, manager, and mentor, Boxu Potts, special advisor to the Trinidad and Tobago Boxing Board of Control. Potts is part of a 4-member boxing board contingent, including Deputy Chairman Zaid Mohammed, Dr. Kevin Antoine, and Colin Mills, the Tobago representative on the board. In relating the success and eventual demise of his talented boxer, who held 11 internationally recognizable belts at one time, Potts was moved to tears. He said she was the youngest female on record to win a world title. However, the 21-year-old died tragically in the prime of her career when she was killed in an early morning vehicular accident under the Beetham flyover back in 2008. We take a short break. We return after this. High praises for Naparima Girls High School for its outstanding achievements over the years. The commendation comes from Minister of Energy and Energy Affairs Kevin Ramnarine while delivering the feature address at the Presbyterian Secondary Schools Awards ceremony for its first art competition.
The presentations of awards were given in the junior and senior category. Awards were given to the winners and their participating schools of the 2014 Presbyterian Secondary Schools Award Ceremony. Noting the success of the Presbyterian schools, Minister of Energy and Energy Affairs Kevin Ramnarine sought to congratulate the 5 Presbyterian schools on its milestone achievement in previous years.
I think the 5 Presbyterian high schools account for something like 1/3 of all the scholarships that are won at the secondary school level. And it is arguable that Naparima Girls is the best high school among those 5 high schools, right? Okay. St. Augustine Girls High School may disagree with that assessment, and Hillview may disagree too. Hillview may disagree.
He said 3/4 of the energy department of his ministry comprises of former Naparima Girls High School alumnus. Many of these students, he said, are returning scholars, well equipped with the skills necessary for the workforce. However, he underscored the church's influence on these girls and their accomplishments.
The church has made a tremendous contribution to the economy, to the socio-economic fabric of Trinidad and Tobago. And when you look at some of the people who have gone to Presbyterian high schools and where they are today, I mean, it is really impressive. We start off first with our Honorable Prime Minister, who is a graduate of Irie College. Irie College is here today, I assume. All right? Rounds of applause to Irie College. And even our former president, Mr. Hassan Ali, went to Naparima College.
The minister said persons from all spheres of life came from the Presbyterian high schools, and the value of their contribution cannot be downplayed, but could be acknowledged and highlighted through the church's 146th anniversary and at competition. Minister Ramnarine says the competition also promotes the responsible use and conservation of energy.
Energy is very cheap in Trinidad. Probably it's the cheapest in the Western Hemisphere outside of Venezuela. So when something is that cheap, people tend to abuse it. So people waste a lot of energy in Trinidad. We leave lights on. We drive all over San Fernando when we don't have to drive, right? We go to the grocery 5 times a day and so on. So we've been encouraging people to conserve.
The students and teachers were commended for the excellent work they have been doing over the years and were encouraged to keep pressing on. The awards ceremony also showcased the talents of the youths as students from the Irie High School performed this popular classic from John Legend.
'Cause all of me loves all of you. Love your curves and all your edges, all your perfect imperfections. Give your all to me, I'll give my all to you. You're my end and my beginning. Even when I lose, I'm winning.
The award ceremony was a twofold event to simultaneously celebrate its milestone accomplishments and 146th anniversary of the Presbyterian Church and its Board of Education's first art competition for secondary schools. The award ceremony took place at the Naparima Girls High School, La Peak Hill, San Fernando.
Well, that's a beautiful way to wrap up this edition of our News 4 Report, a product of the Government Information Services Limited. Remember, you can view a repeat of our newscast weekdays at 6 a.m. and feel free to visit our Facebook page at facebook.com/RTV4. Also, be sure to visit our YouTube channel, youtube.com/the GIS Ltd. I am Gregory McBurney. Thank you for joining us.